Now, you and I, we're going to take the modern toilet for granted. They're everywhere and they always work, but maybe we shouldn't take them for granted, because these days it seems governments across the land, they're perplexed with how to install the standard toilet in their city or building or park without spending crazy amounts of money and taking years to do it. That's taxpayers' money, by the way, and that's your money, by the way. Now, in San Francisco, which is a city whose dysfunction we discussed numerous times on prior Far Middle podcasts, it's an extreme example of the economics of public toilets in cities these days. Now, what I'm about to tell you, I'm not making this up. This is actually happening. So first, understand that the condition of San Francisco streets is shocking. And it's a throwback to those hundreds of years ago that I just mentioned, where trenches, or in this case, curbs of streets, they're serving as the main conveyance of human waste due to the breakdown of social order on the streets of San Francisco. So human feces and waste, it's everywhere one walks in numerous neighborhoods. It's creating a definite health crisis. So toilets, and particularly public ones, they're a luxury and a big deal in one of the most powerful cities in the most powerful nation on earth. And this fiasco of the public toilet, it all started when local officials in San Francisco were getting ready to hold a public celebration for a public toilet in a local town square. So, by the way, one of the first things I thought of is what exactly happens at the opening of a public toilet or the commissioning of one? You know, like for a building, there's a ribbon cutting. And for a groundbreaking, there is a symbolic first shovel of dirt or something like that. What do you do here? Is it like a celebratory first flush? I'm not sure. But anyway, when the local newspaper heard about the upcoming event, they did some digging. The journalists did what they used to do and what they're supposed to do and what they don't do enough of these days, which is hold government accountable and bring facts to light. Well, those facts surrounding the planned celebration for the public toilet, they were hard to believe. Turns out a single public toilet at that location in San Francisco is going to cost up to $1.7 million. And it won't be ready due to permitting and bureaucracy delays until 2025. So when the journalist reported these facts, he or she referenced it as mind-boggling. Yeah, I'll second that. And I think that was actually a perfect descriptor of the situation. Now, the politicians that were coming to celebrate this fiasco, they're now turning on it and they're becoming critics. Why are they doing that? Because they know it's an embarrassment and it's a horrible optic. So everybody's talking about how embarrassing this is, but not enough people are talking about why it takes $1.7 million in years to build a single public toilet in San Francisco. Well, the Far Middle can lay out the root causes for all of you constant listeners, and let's walk through those root causes. So first, the utility in town, Pacific Gas and Electric, it's got a Byzantine maze of approvals and the high costs to go with them to get something like a public toilet hooked up. So why those hoops and their costs? Because the state of California and the Public Utility Commission and the federal government, they heavily regulate utilities like Pacific Gas and Electric, and it makes these utilities put up all these barriers that takes time and money and lots of both. And by the way, much of those rules and those approvals and time, they're all tied to draconian climate policies. It's just another example of how being green is becoming a very, very expensive proposition these days. Then, another root cause, there are construction permits and building codes and wage rules, all of which drive up the costs and delay completion time of these types of projects. So it's either exorbitantly expensive or outright impossible to build anything in California or San Francisco these days, whether it's a housing plan or a single public toilet. And then there is a public hearing or approval process where basically anyone or anything can bring a project to a complete grinding halt. And then to get it approved or moving, again, right, you need to acquiesce to the squeakiest wheels demands. And what's that going to do? That's going to add costs. That's going to add time to the project. So you add all these things up, you can see how cumulatively the absurd becomes the normal, how you land at $1.7 million in years to get a single public toilet built. And these things are brought up to us, the taxpayers, by the bureaucracy, by government, by environmentalists, by corporate graft, by bad energy policies, and so on. All the things that I discuss at length in my book, Precipice, The Left's Campaign to Destroy America, which, by the way, I will remind you on episode 78 you can order on Amazon.com. Please order the book, give it a read, provide me some feedback. All the proceeds from the sale of the book go to the CNX Foundation Mentorship Academy.